I didn't get any questions because I forgot to ask because I was busy doing other things. So I didn't get any questions. So I decided, well, I had this fractured talk video idea. Let me just go ahead and make it. And so I always feel that the best way for something like this, or for, kind of get connected to give you guys any value, is to kind of let you guys know about my own personal story and how I even got into doing some of this stuff, how I got into this line of work, being an exercise physiologist, working with people with behavior change, doing different things, being a personal chef. So there's a lot of things that kind of shaped me to be where, who I am today, but a lot of it wouldn't be unless I was dealing with a lot of the failures. But the thing is not letting failure necessarily define who you are and what you can be, because like I say, it's the first attempt in learning. And if you could kind of visualize yourself and set yourself to that mindset, you would be surprised that anything that happens, you can kind of look at it as a personal growth aspect. You can look at it as something that you need to work on, and that's kind of the philosophy that I have taken with my life, and kind of what I do with my clients and family members and loved ones and whatnot. So let's just kind of get into it a little bit. So the first, really the first thing to bring to attention is this right here. So here is a story, as you can see. Look at this guy. So this guy was, I don't even know how old I was, 8th grade, 9th grade. And this was the hockey team I was playing for when I was in high school. And one of my big passions. Been playing hockey since I was a little kid. And one of the, you can even see how old this is. Wow, look at that. It's got the wooden Easton stick. They weren't even up to the new carbon fiber sticks. But yeah, that was me. And you can see I had that long hair. I don't know why I dyed it that color blonde, but whatever. It's like 2007, whatever. But you can see this was me in 2018 when I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. So a little bit of a change, but the person, what I guess I really don't show, was the person in between there who was lost, needed some guidance, didn't have it, and just had to rely on, basically the people around you to shape the future that you really want. And why I even brought up a couple of these things right here is that, you are not defined by your setbacks, right? Don't use your past event to make you a better person. And a lot of times I think we follow down this road of, shit happens to us and then we don't do anything about it. We kind of just dwell and say, life sucks and this is it. And you got to use these, I guess, make yourself think a little bit differently, is use these past events to make you a better person. What went wrong in there? How could you change it? How could you change it? Not how could the whole scenario change, but how could you assess it? How could you think about it? And use some of these past events to make you a better person. And for me, it really starts from whenever I was kicked out of high school. To be honest, I was kicked out of high school in, who knows, 9th grade. They came in with I guess I really never even told this story before on the internet, really anywhere, unless you're really close to me. But why not now? We're starting something. It's fractured talk. Let's get fractured. So one of the things that kind of go back was I was 15, 16 playing. As you can see, I was a little hockey guy, and one of the things that I was really passionate about was hockey and cooking, and just kind of those two things. Who knows, 14, 15, you have no idea what's going on, but also partying with friends, being a 14, 15-year-old kid in a neighborhood that isn't the best of neighborhoods, a very low economic, very low, just anything. I mean, there's like two businesses in the whole place. It's either you eat at a Subway or you eat, what was it? Basically, yeah, either you're eating Subway, you're eating pizza, or you're eating bar food, and that's it. So there was really no avenues for growth, and there still really isn't over there. And one of the things that I got into was obviously just being an idiot, drinking in the weekends, doing, smoking the weed, going into abandoned houses, doing all that fun stuff. And, it was fun at the time. But when it came down to necessarily school, so to speak, I don't think, I didn't give two shits about it. Nobody really told me the importance of school. Nobody really told me the importance of, learning. And one of the big problems with the school districts now is that the public school system, it's, they're not necessarily teaching kids, right? They're teaching kids who already know how to learn, know how to think. I just realized I got this fucking music playing. I turn this. There we go. Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So talk about the public school system is that, like, the public school system itself, they don't teach kids who need to be taught. And one of the main things, for example, was me. If they were teaching kids who are already 3.5, 4.0 students, and I think a lot of that is because it's easier to teach those type of kids. It makes it a point where not to say they're not doing their jobs, but it makes it easier. You could just, hey, this is it. This kid's smart. Okay, we'll just rely on them for everything. But the kids who actually need direction and kids who actually need maybe some assistance or, just need something, a little bit more guidance, not just one train of thought process, maybe not one learning process, actually switching up the material. But, that whole aspect of things, transpired into what necessarily, I guess, happened to me later on is that, the school district was going down. There was a Carol, I think she overdosed on a school bus, heroin. And so they brought a bunch of, I guess, drug dogs. I don't even know what it was. Bunch of dogs. Something happened in the school. It's been so long, I forget. But they brought something in the school, and I remember I had a pack of rolling papers in my wallet, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it fell out of my pocket, if I gave it to somebody. I don't really remember, but I didn't have my wallet. And so I ended up getting I wasn't the best of kids. So they were all looking at me when these drug dogs came in, looking like, oh, what's going on? Nick's got to be involved, and fuck, I wasn't involved in anything. But, there it is. The teacher sitting out front of my locker. You can't go in there. They got a zip tie on it. You're not allowed in there. Well, you know what? Screw you. I didn't get in my locker. Apparently didn't have my wallet either. And so somebody turned in my wallet, and how they knew it was my wallet because my social security card was in my wallet. So I couldn't even deny that it was mine. So yeah. Lesson learned: don't carry your social security around in your wallet because people are anyway. So what's it matter? Yeah. So it's just like, so I kind of, they found my wallet. Somebody got my wallet. I got caught up into the office, and then they told me that what's this? Pulled out a pack of zigzags. I was like, yeah, it's a pack of zigzags. What is it? The old Jay and Silent Bob. I got a wiping problem. Like what the hell? That didn't fly. So needless to say, they said, we got to call your dad in. We got to get him in here. You're a nuisance. You got rolling. I didn't have any drugs on me. It was just a pack of papers that was in my wallet. So they called my dad, and he was working, didn't pick up the first time. Finally, second time, I remember he picked up as I'm sitting in the office. And mind you, this was the superintendent or the principal was the last year. So, he was all, chest puffed out, really trying to make a difference. I'm going to make a difference in these kids. This is going to be a real big change. I'm going to make a change out of this kid. or make an example out of this kid. And what ended up happening is my dad ended up getting on the phone, hanging up the phone on him because he said, "We need you to come pick up your kid." And he said, "For what?" And he said that I think you had, your kid, what we had I don't know, some type of drug thing at the school, and your kid had a pack of rolling papers. And my dad said, "Oh, wow, pack of rolling papers. Okay. Did he have any product?" And they said, "No, no, there wasn't any drugs on him." And he said, "So why are you calling me?" And they said, "Oh, well, you got to pick him up, blah, 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 blah." And so, yeah, so they basically kicked me out right then and there and said that I can't come back unless I were to go to to a rehab center 3 days a week, inpatient rehab for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. And I was fucking 14, 15 years old, So why would you expose anybody into that situation at that age? But me being a kid, I want to go back to school. I want to play hockey. I want to do all these different things. My dad said, "All right, well, you'll see a real example of what this shit looks like in here." And sure enough, we only lasted about 2 to 3 weeks before he said, "Yeah, you're getting the hell out of here, and we ain't going back to that school." Because I remember the first day I was there, the guy was talking about cocaine addiction, the guy was talking about crack, and here I am with a pack of papers, smoked weed a couple times when I was a kid, and they want me to. He said, "No, this ain't happening." So he said, go to homeschool, and by 2000, let's see, 2008, no, that'd be 2006, yeah, 2006. Going online, doing those online schools, there wasn't anything. I mean, it was just like, here's a laptop. This is what you want to do. No accountability, none of that shit. So whenever it came down to actually doing the coursework, I'd rather play video games. I'd rather play, guitar. I'd rather sit there and be, have fun. I've used the computer for what it is. I'm on the internet now. I actually think that was the first time I started playing, online video games. So eh, the thing is there were so many distractions. Not only were there so many distractions, there was just no accountability. So my dad said, "All right, well, you're going to go to some school program for that was inner city." And one of the things that happened for me was a lady. She would come pick me up in a van at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and she would she'd wake me up, drag me into her van. She would have like 4 or 5 kids in there, and she would just be playing some of like the craziest gospel music I've ever heard in my life. And I've never really heard of gospel music at that time, but it was rocking. So like by the time I got to the school in the inner city, I was set up, I was hyped up, I'm ready to go. They would just give you like a pamphlet, basically like a math pamphlet, fill out a couple questions, answer some science terms, and then next thing you know, I'm playing Oregon Trail for the next 3 hours, and wasn't really getting anything out of it. And my dad even, kind of saw the same thing, and just decided, hey, we're just gonna just pull you out of school. But if we're gonna do this, you're gonna have to get a job. You're gonna have to go out and do something. And I was like, shit, all right, my buddy, he's working as a dishwasher, I guess I could do that. Let me see what's going on. And just kind of started really from there, just getting in the kitchen jobs, doing small things, and just realizing that, damn, it was actually a lot easier to go to school rather than sit here and work as a dishwasher doing all that stuff, because that was hard work. That shit sucked. But it builds character. You start to develop things that I didn't even know that I was developing. Work ethic, scheduling, timing, showing up, accountability for myself. And at 16, I mean, 17, to really think about doing that at that age is tough. You're walking everywhere, you're doing everything. You don't have a car, you don't have the resources to just get into a car, drive to work, and be over with. You're actually having to put that effort into yourself and wanting to do something. And I just figured, screw it, I'll be a dishwasher, someone in the kitchen my whole life, and I'll flip some pizzas, we'll go from there. And then I started working at a bar and we started doing things there with a sweet old lady, and she would work the kitchen, and she was like 90, 80. I forget exactly how old she was, but she didn't believe in sanitary. She didn't believe in really anything. I mean, she would get her hair cut in the kitchen. She would thaw out chicken wings in the dishwasher sink with hot water. I mean, it was a disaster. So obviously, you start to see how not to do things, and then you start to pick up on that, and then next thing you know, you start to realize that you got to get the hell out of there. And so ended up getting a job with a family friend at a restaurant, and just kind of started working my way up from there, and really just starting to find, I guess, purpose in life. And by that time I was 21, 20 maybe. Who knows, 19, 20, I don't know. Working in a restaurant, and working with a whole bunch of different diverse characters, whether it be people who are in and out of a halfway house, people who are they've been there for 30 years, like this is their job, there is no growth, this is it. And so you could really start to see, like, year after year, and you could probably see this in some of the jobs that you work at, is that there's some lifers there, and they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. They're just going to stay there, they're going to be doing the same things. But if you could kind of see that, is that going to be a reflection of yourself? Is that going to be who you want to be? Is that, and so you can kind of pull things off of these people, and the people around you, vicarious learning, and be able to, extract the things, maybe it's the pros, the cons, and be able to do the things that maybe you want to do after seeing, like, that ain't me. And that was one of the things for that I kind of got into the realization was, is that I want to be, a chef. Let me work as a line cook, let me work as a pizza cook, let me work as doing these different mundane jobs, so that I can find the skills and maybe find an avenue, find a direction. And it really wasn't until I got hurt cleaning up the restaurant where a cooler started falling on me, and I just went to go grab it and catch it, and it tweaked my back out to a point where I woke up the next morning, I couldn't move, I couldn't walk. So I started going to a chiropractor who was a Scientologist, and he snapped me, he cracked me, he popped me, but he also scammed me, for a couple $1,000s. Well, that's another story. But one of the things that I started seeing was, there's you could put a band-aid on your problems. You could do these different things where it feels good at the time, but for me, I realized that once I started getting into the chiropractic world, snapping and cracking and popping, they didn't necessarily give me a pamphlet to say, hey, this is what I want you to do outside of, um, you know, whenever we're here. It was just like, all right, do this and then keep coming back. And I wasn't really getting any value out of it until I started actually doing the things that I needed to do. And that was, figuring out, all right, my hamstrings are tight as shit. Let me start working on this. Started doing some yoga stretches, couldn't touch my toes, couldn't touch my knees, couldn't do any of that, to be honest. And then just continued to, work at it, so to speak, and just become, somebody who does yoga in the morning every day and just 15, 20 minutes a day. And then he started getting out of pain, and then I started realizing, oh shit, there's something to this, this yoga, this Pilates, this whole, mind body connection. Like, I'm feeling better. I can see results. Like, what the hell's going on? So I decided to, go get my GED at 22. And then I went and, passed that in the 1 percentile. So I was scored better than, I think it was 99% of people who have taken the GED. So I figured, all right, well, shit, maybe I am a little bit intelligent. Maybe I do have a little bit of smarts. Maybe I can apply this. So, with the push of some of my closest friends, they said, hey, man, go to a community college, see what the hell's going on, And for me, the first class I took was a master's level business management class. And this was the first class that I've taken. I haven't been in school since I was in damn near ninth grade. And so it was tough, but I was learning a lot. I was like, holy shit, business management, this might be, this is something I could apply this to, the workplace. I could apply this to the philosophies of the people that I'm working at. And this is it. And then I realized, no, I don't want to apply this for the people that I'm working at. I want to apply this for me. And so for years, I just figured, I want to do something that's going to help people, kind of highlight the importance of, yoga, Pilates, exercise, nutrition, just focusing on your health as a whole, because, you really start to focus differently. Because now I'm, gone from this kid who is, no direction, dropped out of high school, basically just, lost, and until something that you find a passion in. And then next thing you know, you could use that energy to, really make something out of yourself. And that's really the whole reason of this, this podcast, this live stream, whatever the hell we're calling it, is that so we can have the necessary tools to, build mental health, help with our nutrition, with our exercise, and help with different types of behavior change and whatever things that we're going through. And ultimately just kind of get into some sort of, personal growth out of it. And if we can just get one of these aspects out of, any of these podcast episodes, talks that I do, help me sleep better at night, because I know that there's tons of people out there that, kind of struggling with the same stuff that, I was struggling with. And, we're still struggling to this day, that's the reality. But it's what you do about it, right? It's do you have a plan? Are you passionate about something? Or, do you want to, what do you want to do in life? Do you want to bitch about it? Do you want to keep, complaining about how shit isn't working for you, or do you want to go ahead and, do something necessarily about it? And that's kind of what this, I guess this whole podcast episodes are going to be about, is just necessarily finding, the fractured talk and be able to find what makes you stronger. So if you think of a fracture, if you think of bones, and that's kind of what even came up with the philosophy of the name, is that, in order for your bones to get stronger, they need to have micro breaks, micro fractures in your bones. And it's something called osteoblasts and osteoclasts that form together and, remodel your bone to make it stronger. And that's kind of the idea of the name, is that, fractured talk. We're kind of having, eventually, if I can get some people on here, some professionals, and get some other experts, and start to come up with actual things for you rather than me just kind of talking to myself and talking into the mic. But kind of being able to talk to these things so that, we can have these conversations so that you can start to mold yourself into a better person, into a stronger person, into a more resilient person who's going to have self-efficacy, more self-esteem, and just, a better outlook on life. But, and I think that, if you, as we go on with the future with this, it's going to be one of those things where I find we're going to be able to, impact maybe a lot of people, and I think the connection between, mental well-being, nutrition, behavior, growth, having that mindset, and just realizing how each one of those kind of tie into each other, right? Because like if you're mentally unwell, obviously your nutrition isn't probably up to speed and your behavior is probably in the garbage and you're not really growing as a person, But if you're mentally stable and you're able to find, a purpose or something that you want to do in life, you're able to maybe want to start eating better, and then next thing you know, your behavior starts to change. And then now you can see that there is some sort of growth in the future, right? And I think if you can come to those realizations, you start working on one of them, that's where the true impact is. And that's kind of where this podcast, tends to lay. Obviously, no, I'm not a Andrew Huberman with, neuroscientists from Stanford and all this stuff, but, I am Vic Venuti from Pittsburgh who is a graduate from University of Pittsburgh exercise physiology and have seen and dealt with a lot of shit just like a lot of people. So, it's shaping these experiences with you, with me, with other people that potentially we can get in here for some guest interviews, some you know people who are just going to speak the importance of just being resilient and being able to always break out of your shell, because I think that's important, right? If you're able to stay in a shell, you're able to stay in a position where you ain't growing. It's just figuring out maybe you don't want to, and that's okay. You want to just stay stagnant, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. But for the people who do want to grow and just need some extra help, or maybe don't have the circle around them to necessarily get there, that's kind of what we're trying to build here, a nice little community for people, so to speak. Because I mean, I got my business. I've been trying to help people for the last 6 years, and people have made real impacts in their life. People have, really transformed their life, their way of thinking, the way they do things, just from my help. And, it's the little things that I could do to, I've said it on the other Q&As, is that, it's building your toolbox. If you can build the toolbox of all these different tools that you gather from these different modalities, whether it be on podcasts, getting it from wherever, information from the internet, whatever you do, but just applying these things into your own life, just you are building that toolbox of skills that are going to help you prolong and be able to be a better person for yourself, for the people around you. And I think that's very important if you're focusing on self-growth. But, that's kind of a little bit of it, a little bit of the backstory of, how I got to where I was going. But, just to kind of pick up on that, just to circle back, is that, kind of getting into these different pain points is what allowed me to figure out that, there was a purpose. There was something for me that I can do and I can help. And that's kind of what brings me into this stuff, is that, being able to help people in person, being able to transform people's lives and, have them thinking better about themselves, trying to do this into a virtual aspect where, you have to kind of let people know what is going on, and what's happening with yourself. You got to relate somehow to some people. And a lot of times I think we always look, on the internet, Instagram, YouTube, we compare ourselves to a lot of different things and wonder why, maybe you're not at that position, or why you're not doing these different things. But you just have to find a purpose, and knowing that everybody's journey is just a little bit different. Yours is different than the person that you're trying to compare yourself with. But the thing that you really have to focus on is just finding a passion about something. What is it that you could do every day that you don't consider necessarily work? I mean, I sit here, make videos, make the content, write up scripts, do this stuff. I mean, it's hard work. It's time consuming, but it's fun. For me, I like it because this is what I like to talk about. This is what I like to do. If it gets 1 view, if it gets 100 views, if it gets 1,000 views, it doesn't really change the mission. Is, trying to just help people in regards to, all the stuff that we're trying to talk about, mental health, nutrition, exercise, behavior change, personal growth, all of those good things. And, sometimes once you are ahead of yourself and you are getting things done and you're accomplishing and you are to the point where you think things are comfortable, something like, this can happen where let's actually give this a full screen. Yeah. So remember, just when you think things are always going well, you can always have something like this that happens and can really shake you off your path, or really direct you back onto your path. And what you can see here is, playing a hockey game, and here I think it's just an ankle sprain. It wasn't. It was a severe trimalleolar fracture. And being somebody who is a personal chef, being somebody who is an exercise physiologist, being somebody who does work with people in person, when I'm holding mitts, I'm getting kicked, I'm getting punched, I'm training, we're doing demonstrations, whatnot. This is a big major setback, right? I mean, that the hospital visit on the right, that was the first day. Look at that. If you could see, that is what a broken ankle looks like. Um, yeah, about 2 hours after it happens. So I'm on a breakaway in hockey and I'm going full speed, juke the guy out, and going full speed with the goalie, head up looking at the goalie. The guy had juked out, came from behind me, slide tackled me into my legs, shattering my ankle, full speed, malicious, cheap shot. He's a piece of, there's some words for him. But, we'll let that sort itself out. But as you can tell, that device that I had right here, I mean, look at this. That is drilled into my bone. It's called an external fixator. That is drilled into my bone that I had to have set the bones in my leg for over, I think it was a week and a half. Yeah, so trying to sleep with that thing, yeah, just try to deal with this in general. But then after the surgery, everything went well. On the left is my ankle. That is my leg. This is the reason why I don't, running is going to be very difficult for my future. And arthritis is definitely going to be part of my future and of my, not necessarily immediate future, but definitely going to be part of my future. But, it's just kind of looking at things like this is that, just when you think things are going well, right? COVID just stopped or slowed down. Business was going well. Bank account had money in it, and I was working on different things. Just actually was in Sedona with my girlfriend, my grandma, my parents. Things were going well. Had a new thing that I was going to start doing the virtual programming. Had a great idea, and then no more than a week later, this happens. And so, it just kind of shows you that, even when things are kind of, at your, quote unquote best or peak or however you want to say, when things are going well, something could always sidetrack you, and it's not until you figure out your why, I could have sat there, and, luckily with the love of my girlfriend, people around me, I probably wouldn't be doing it better. I'd probably be screwed up, because um, that's a lot. It takes a lot out of you, especially when you're helpless. You have to learn how to walk again. That's 12 months, or what was it? Yeah, it was about 8 months of not being able to walk. And as you can tell, I mean, when you look at, if we look at this again, I mean, it was, this is no joke when we in regards to the into injury, right? Because we have a external fixator, we have 14 screws, we have a broken ankle, and so you can let these things sideline you. You can let these things be something that's going to always be a part of your future, or you could just let it motivate you to want to get better. And for me, that's one of the things that I did was figured out my why. I'm not going to let my 6 years I went to school, getting an associate's degree, going through all this shit, going getting a bachelor's degree, paying the money, doing all of the stuff that was required for me to necessarily build a business that I wanted to do, and just have it all come crashing down because of 14 screws and 2 plates. That's not how I was developed, and that's not how I was gonna make it developed. And so that's why I didn't let it define me. I mean, that's why I started doing the different things on YouTube just to keep my my head basically sane. So you can see, there's a hole in my YouTube videos. There's what is it? What did I call it? The Road to Recovery series. Whole bunch of stuff. So if you want to see anything about that brutal injury, it's all in the Road to Recovery series on the YouTube channel. So wherever you're listening to this, Facebook, YouTube, wherever this gets broadcasted out to. Um, but it's not letting those elements define who you are as a person, right? You can let that stuff really be the factor of your life. You can let that be the dictator of life. I could have been hooked on pills, prescription pain pills, you name it. Um, but no, I thought of a why. My why is that I want to still continue to help people. Was still training people with my leg up. When I was in the hospital or when I was in my bedridden, non-weight bearing for 10 weeks, so it's just, having a why, having a purpose, having a drive in life. That is going to be the biggest, internal self motivator for anybody that is struggling really with anything, or for anybody who is struggling with, just trying to find purpose or trying to find direction. Just figuring out what is your passion, what can you bring, what can you serve, like what is it, that you can necessarily offer to people. It doesn't even have to be people. Maybe you have a good idea and you want to develop a product and you got a good product idea, and that's it. It's whatever it is. It's just be passionate about it. It'd be somebody who wants to do something, right? And I think if you could figure that one out, and which is a hard one, if you could figure that out, you could actually start to see a lot of things in life that makes it better for you, people around you. And it's just not letting, again, going back to this, it's not letting you're not being defined by your setbacks, right? Use that past event to make you a better person, however it is. How do you find something that you're passionate about? What are your hobbies? Start there, make it easy, and just remember that it's not gonna come all at once. It's not gonna be easy. Um, it's not gonna be the first thing that probably comes up. But just remember that failure is your first attempt in learning. Because if you could go with that mindset, you won't look at failure or whatever it is as as your end point or your starting point. Maybe you can use that as your starting point, and then be able to kind of utilize the energy that you're getting off of that. And I think if there's one thing that you can really get out of all of this, is that realize that you're not, again, defined by your setbacks. You could be kicked out of high school, you can be set up for failure, you could be in a neighborhood that doesn't have any areas, any opportunities for you. But it's how you present yourself, what you bring to the table, what you want to strive for, what are your goals, what are your values, what are your ethics. And from there, you can really start to manifest really your own destiny, because from having that energy and having that self belief, you can tackle any task. And that's why exercise, that's why nutrition, that's why doing these things are so rewarding, and that's why you get so much effect, cause and effect out of it, is because it's tough. You're putting in the effort, but what you're learning is discipline. You're learning different ways of getting and achieving things that you want to achieve in life. And I think if there's one thing that we can learn from all this, and through the future episodes, and the things that we kind of talk about, and people maybe that we talk to, is that mental health is important. Focusing on yourself, being able to find the self-esteem, the self-efficacy to perform a set task, is going to be brutally important, not only for your own personal development, but for just life and skills in general. And really focusing on nutrition, exercise, what behaviors that you need to change, and what you could do for personal growth. And I think if you could tie all these things in, if it's just one, like I said, one at a time, you're going to be a better person. And I think, I don't know, I could really talk about this all day, but we'll save it for future episodes. But I thank you for listening, joining on the replay. Just make sure that you are liking the video, subscribing to the video. I mean, you're able to reach more people with your support, with any type of engagement, and it is very appreciated. Just realized that I had to remove 300 and some bots, Lebanese bots, from my Instagram account yesterday. So, yeah. So you never know. But, I'm open to feedback, any suggestions that you may have, any, you know, future topics, anything you really want to talk about, because the mission of this is for you guys, right? To help out for what you're struggling with and what I could possibly guide you with, seen a lot of shit, done a lot of shit, came through and conquered through it. And it's made me a stronger person because of it. So, you know, thank you, and subscribe, like the channel, and farewell. I'll see you on the next episode.